Welcome to Built in Cincy. I'm your host, Marcus Celestin, and today's guest is a franchisee of both Orangetheory and Clean Eatz, a husband, father of four. Welcome, Chase Whitehead.
Thank you.
Thanks for being here today.
Absolutely. Can't wait.
Excited to talk to you. For those of you who don't know you, can you tell us just a little bit about you, a little bit about your background?
Yeah, so relatively quickly, I'm a Cincinnati boy, born and raised from the east side, went to UC, studied engineering, graduated from UC, met my wife there. We got engaged. She was a teacher. I was an engineer, working for Duke Energy here. And, long story short, she brought the idea of Orangetheory to me, and I said no initially and decided, you know what? I want to do my own business. I don't know what it's going to be, but let's check it out, right? Mm-hmm. She absolutely loved it. She took a class down in Louisville with a friend who joined down there. So from there, it was about 3 months of me just calling everybody, looking into it. You know how that goes, and trying to figure out, is this a legit business? And once we decided yes, we were all in. We were engaged. We weren't even married yet, but we said, all right, we'll figure this out. We jumped in, and I can get more into the how that went from there. But now we have 6 Orangetheories and getting ready to open our 4th Clean Eatz.
Nice. You said you're from Cincinnati. Should I ask you where you went to high school?
You should, yeah, from Anderson.
No kidding.
Yeah.
Cool. So you decided to go the Orangetheory fitness route. What made you ultimately decide to land on Orangetheory?
Yeah. Honestly, the reason I said no was I'm a guy. I go to the gym. I lift weights, right? It's a fitness group training class, which wasn't that popular at the time, at least in this style where it was just that. But went down, I took a class, and the class blew me away. I was like, okay, they got something. Like, I enjoyed that. It kicked my butt. Yeah. This is something that's going to catch on. But really, it was, I met some of the people in Orangetheory, both at the corporate office, and I talked to people all over the country, from Midwest here down to Florida, out west just a little bit, and the stories were just consistent, right? You open it, and you're going to make some money, but you get to change lives. You get to, impact thousands of people. And when I heard the consistency, I was like, this is something, and it's new. There were less than 200 open when we got in. There's 1,500 open now. So we jumped in, man, and it worked out for us so far, at least.
Yeah. So you had a kind of a corporate background after college. Started a little bit in the engineering side of things, you said?
Yeah, so I worked at Duke Energy distribution side, which for everybody who doesn't know, that's just essentially how the electricity gets to your house, right? Engineering for about 2 years, switched into management, but then into project management. And, my goal at the time was I had a great track. I was involved with everything at Duke Energy. I volunteered for things. I met all the higher ups. The president of Duke Energy, Kentucky, Ohio, and I were, a first name basis a couple years into being at the company. So I was trying to create this pathway for myself to, work up, become a director, VP, and just have a cushy job at Duke Energy. That continued to go pretty well, but at the same time, we started the Orangetheory thing. So after about 2 or 3 years of doing both, it came to a crossroads, and it was like, all right, let's go all in and see what we can do.
Did you always know you wanted to be a business owner, or was it something you kind of fell into?
I did. I'm very entrepreneurial, I would say. And really inventor style is kind of where I thought I was going to go. I was going to create a product, create a business around that product. And then, this, like I said, kind of fell into my lap for my wife, and we just went for it. And it was not the path I thought. But once I got into it, there was no looking back.
Yeah. I did the whole corporate route for about a decade, climbing the corporate ladder, thinking, I wanted to be a CEO of a business, and that was kind of the ideal thing. And I got, close to it at a medium-sized business and decided I don't think this is what I'm looking for. I had seen a few other folks kind of go out and buy a business. What does that look like? Found success with it and thought for years, I want to own my own business. That's something I want to do. I spent probably too many years being kind of a entrepreneur, sitting online, what can I invent? What can I go buy? What can I go do? But eventually kind of took that same leap. So I'm always curious how people make that and arrive at that decision.
Well, it's such a tough one to make because you see that, and that's traditional, right? And there's a lot of people who have done great things doing that too, right?
Yeah.
But I also saw it, for me at least, I saw people at Duke who were just, man, do I want to, and maybe they got stuck at some point, but they were just doing the same thing for 20 years, right? Yeah. And that's not me. Like I always, at some point, it's the next thing. Not like this generation where I'm dealing with now. I feel like, I mean, you maybe see the same things, but it seems like every couple months, it's like, all right, what's next? I need more. It's like, no, let's slow down. But that's what we look for. And that's, what I am too, is growth mindset, right? And as you are as well, it's how do we continue to build, learn, develop, grow. And then for us as owners, it's how do we give that to other people? And that's really the stage I'm at right now.
Yeah. So you mentioned when you first got started with the Orangetheory, you were engaged. So since then you've gotten married, had 4 kids. How have you balanced all the life events, but also continue to grow a business?
Yes. So the best answer, short answer is just we've had great people on our team, right? Like nobody builds a business by themselves, and whether it's a mentor you have that helps you, or it's the people that are helping you run the business, nobody does it on their own. And that's been the key, because it has allowed me, I mean, for the first 2 years, so we got into Orangetheory engaged and then didn't open until just after we were married, right? Okay. But then the first 2 years of marriage, it was very much like, we can't do that. We're not doing that. My wife was opening at 4:30 a.m. and then she'd leave in the middle of the day and then come back to make sure everything closed right. We were just, young, trying to figure it out. And then I was working, I worked 6 a.m. to 3:30, and then I would get off and go work for another 4 hours at Orangetheory. So it was just long days as a business owner, you're used to that. But at some point, really around, I think when we started to talk about kids, it was like, okay, we gotta start trusting and developing people so that they can run it and we can enjoy some of that, because, I think it's important that you're there for all these moments, right? And you're a part of your kid's life. You're a family man. I think that's so important, but I don't think it's more important than setting your family up for success. I think they're equally important. And I don't know, people get so set on, I don't want to miss this, I don't want to do that, and then they give up opportunities. And then there's also people who are just all about, business. And somehow, by the grace of God, I'll say we were able to do both. And we've been able to be a part of, and I say we, my wife's now at home with the kids, but she was very much for the first 5 years part of the business and running it. And but we were very fortunate to be able to have some good people to actually allow us to enjoy some life too.
I've started to see in my business, bringing someone in to kind of manage a lot of the day-to-day activities and to start to see the benefit of like pulling out a bit and like the freedom that it gives me to think creatively, the freedom to work on other things as well. When I was just maybe a few months in, we had our 3rd kid. And it was like, I remember being at the hospital, not working a lot. Like it stormed that day, which was great for us for window cleaning because it got canceled. But I'm like, still, that was kind of the closest to a day off I got those first few months. And even now I'm like fighting for some of these times off to be able to pull out and to be able to let others kind of just take care of things and expect that, that some things might not get done the way I want it, but at least it's getting done. So for people who are kind of, in the thick of it, trying to pull back a little bit or give some of that responsibility to others or find and build up good people, what advice might you have for them?
It's almost like taking the jump into it, right? You also got to take the jump out. And, you hear it all the time too about if you want your business to grow, you got to find a way to not work in it. You got to work on it. Right. And if you're the bottleneck, the one who's, making every decision and again, I want it 100% my way. Then that's fine, but you're going to be 100% doing it. Right. And, I'd rather have it 80% the way I would have done it. And I get the freedom to not be there. And I've had to learn that. And we have a rule or a policy for our team that as long as you can back up your decision and the place didn't burn down, then you're fine. Right. Like, we have spending limits, all that stuff. But if you need to make a decision about how to deal with a member or a customer over here, and it turns out to not go the way you thought, as long as you can tell me like, oh, well, this is what I was thinking. This is why, I wanted to try something. I'm like, great. You know what? You learned something. And I also learned maybe something we need to train on. Right. So I'm big on extreme ownership too. And So at the end of the day, everything is my responsibility. So I've learned to accept that if somebody doesn't do something the way I want it, I actually had this thought on the way over here, which I won't talk about, but depending on when this airs, I might be able to figure out what that was. But I guess what I'm saying is I didn't train you the way I should have because you didn't know how to handle the situation.
Yeah. Right.
So, but then I try to pass that on to the team too. Like the buck stops with you, and not really, it comes back to me, but the buck stops with you, and I want you to own the business yourself. And the managers, the coaches, the front desk people that do that see opportunities with us, or as they move on, they learn something. And that's, at the end of the day, I said I'm trying to grow for our team, but we also know not everybody's going to be with us the whole time. Yeah. So the goal is they walk out better and with more opportunities than when they walked in.
Yeah. I love that extreme ownership, and I live out that as well, owning this business, pinks and window cleaning and being in people's houses. I take it so personally, and they say you shouldn't, take business personally, but more than anything, this business I take personally because my name's all over it. I mean, I put my face all over everything. I put my face on our Facebook ads. Like, people recognize and associate me with it. So it's so hard if, we disappoint somebody or if it's not up to their standards. It's like 100%. I take such responsibility. So getting my team to understand, what does that look like for you guys? How do you guys take a piece of this and help deliver so that we can, deliver those great results and make people happy?
Well, and that's one of the hardest things too. Yeah. It's like if you find somebody who cares and is passionate, like, you can't teach those things very well. And I found that I will take that all day over somebody who just, has all the skills right away. If you're just naturally good at something, but you don't care, I've learned to say, okay, you can be on the team. You're not going to lead the team maybe, or you know what, sorry, it's not the right place for you.
Yeah.
But have you found any success with passing that ownership on?
Yeah. I mean, that's been more of a struggle for me lately, because I definitely have put some people on my team who are incredibly competent, able to run with some of this stuff. So now for me, it's like, okay, they're kind of rising to the occasion. It's now on me to lift some of this onto their plate. I think, for a while, there were some people who kind of started with us who I wanted to see, hey, I think I can train them to get to this, or I can teach them to want that passion and to want some of these things that it's just, they might not have been a great fit.
Yeah.
And coming to terms with that sooner rather than later probably would have been better for everybody. But I think now I'm in a position where there's a huge responsibility on me to start to push stuff. Because when I'm drowning in some of these things, or, I'm working 12, 15 hours a day, it's my fault at this point more than it is for others, because we've really established a pretty good team here. So it's something I'm working on every day. But, the motivating factor for me is it allows me to spend more time with my family, allows me to rest, do creative things like this, have some outlets where I can, not worry about running the business and do some more fun things.
Yeah. Well, and, same boat, right? We have several young kids, right, who, and long road ahead of us of trying to pay for everything that all those expenses that come along with that. Yeah. It's not getting cheaper, so I think that's one thing a lot of people miss too is, the position we're at, like, we've been successful, and especially like pre-COVID, Orangetheory was just a rocket ship, right? Yeah. And it's like, man, we're doing something here, but I have to remind my wife of this too. I'm like, listen, it's like, hey, we still got 4 kids, a long way to go. Our youngest just turned 1. Our oldest is 7, turning 8 in February. So, and we have 4 of them. So that cost adds up. And so that's like the financial driver is I got to provide for my family. And we've got a big one. So not going to be cheap.
I love that. How do you balance like time with your kids, working a lot? Because, it seems like kids, are important to you. Your family's important to you, but you're also building a business and you've had tremendous growth over the past 10 years. You keep going, but I'm sure there's kind of a constant tension between the two. So how do you navigate that?
There's 100% a constant tension. And, really part of that tension, I would say, is my wife isn't in the business anymore, right? So she sees me working all the time. Yeah. And she's like, we need to get away. We need to do this. But what she doesn't see is that the stress that puts on me when we're traveling. But I appreciate it, right? I want to do those things we were talking earlier. Like, I want to take my kids to Florida and enjoy that time with them. So some of those trips, we take probably more than I would say the average family, but we were very fortunate with some places to go. But day to day, week to week, it's trying to stay on the schedule that works for me, which it's a early wake up call, 4:30 or 5 up, and I go through seasons of I love working out early, or I love getting work done so that I can work out a little bit later. But either way, if I can knock out 2 hours of stuff prior to anybody moving, I'm more efficient. I have nobody calling me, asking me questions. I don't have emails flooding me, so I can get caught up on that. Plus, everybody else, all my family's sleeping. So if I can do that, that's how I can really balance it, because then I can get all those things that I need done early. And then with business, I've gotten much better at this of trying to pass things on to other people, but I try to stack some meetings early in the week so that I'm having my meetings with my top leaders and then all my leaders in the business the first 2 days of the week, and really setting myself up for success that way so that they know what they're doing throughout the week. And that allows me then to, again, have more time to move around. And I love being in the studios, and I love meeting our team and seeing people working that I don't normally work with. So that allows me that time to do that if I can knock stuff out early in the week.
Yeah. Do you struggle with disconnecting in the evenings? Because I know for me, like my entire 95% of my business I can run off of my phone. So I get like emails from customers, accepted quotes, questions, clarifications, issues coming through oftentimes in the evenings or on the weekends because they're not working. So do you struggle with any sort of disconnecting?
I used to. I don't anymore. I've found that setting that boundary, I guess, of when I'm at home, I'm not always off my phone, but I'm not diving in emails, or we use an app called GroupMe to communicate between each studio. So I'm not checking that stuff. I'm with my family. I'm at home, and then even when it's time for bed, like I'll get, after the kids go down, I'll check and just be like, is there anything super urgent? But I've learned to, it can wait till tomorrow. So at some point it was just like we got to stop, because especially when my wife was working, because she would check emails from customers, and we used to get reviews daily from customers. So that was her thing. She used to check that first thing in the morning, and I'm like, don't do that, because if we get a bad one, like that ruins your whole day. Like that can wait. You can respond. Like you're not going to respond to them at 7 a.m. anyway. So let's just wait. So at some point, I don't recall exactly where it was, but it was like, okay, we can wait. And it was probably partially when I was like, okay, we have to hand off some of this because I'm going to trust that my managers or my regionals will handle it.
Yeah, that's smart. I mean, that's something I need to work on, is like disconnecting in the evenings, going on Do Not Disturb. I try to, between the hours of like 5 to 7:30, or like when bedtime's over, to be on Do Not Disturb. Try not to check, but it's like every time the phone buzzes, it's like, what is that? Is that a good thing? Yeah. What's going on here? Yeah.
I want to, we're doing this. We just started this challenge with our members. It's a commit to 6 weeks challenge. Just let's see what we can do for 6 weeks prior to Thanksgiving. Let's try to get after something. So I've been thinking about what other things outside of just working out I'm going to commit to. And one of them that I want to toss out there to my wife is no phones in bed. Like let's maybe we leave them outside of the room, except I don't have an alarm, so I got to get an alarm. But no phones in bed, because that's just, you get on it, and even if you're not on work, it's just like, what are you doing? It's wasting time. And inevitably, though, if I pull my phone out, I am checking work a little bit, and it's just like that tends to put something in my mind that now I'm thinking about as I'm trying to fall asleep. And that's been a struggle for me. I used to be great about, let's just write everything down as you're thinking. I don't do that anymore. But, I'm very much somebody who, if I wake up at 3 a.m., I'm probably up for the day, because my mind starts going, and not because I checked anything, but it just starts, it's like work mode, and can't go back to sleep when I'm in work mode.
Yeah, I'm the same way. I'll roll over. One of the kids will wake us up at 4 a.m. or something, then I'm up for the day. Yeah. The wheels start turning. Open up the laptop, get going.
Yeah, makes for long days.
Oh yeah, oh yeah. When you so you've got kids that are, you said your oldest is
7.
7?
Yep.
I know my 4-year-old's starting to ask a lot of questions about, where are you going today, Daddy? What are you doing? What are you working on? What do you got your laptop open for? Or, do you have to work today? So do your kids ask about work? How do you talk to your kids about work? Do you?
Yeah, we do. Our oldest 2, 7 and 4, very much know that, we own Orangetheory. And so they love like, oh, there's Orangetheory. Do you own that one? Like when we're in Florida or something.
Yeah.
Like, no, like we don't. But no, my 3-year-old is starting to do a lot of that too. And I'm sure he hears his brother, the 4-year-old, ask all that. But he is constantly like, where are you going? Where, what are you doing here? And, it's fun for me because I bring them into the business occasionally, right?
Yeah.
So they know what I'm talking about, and I'm either going to Orangetheory or Clean Eatz. Like it's one of the two almost every time I'm going out the door. So they basically know, and the older 2 are like, you going to work, and they know at this point. I work from home, not quite half the time, but maybe 2/5 of my work week is from home. So even if I'm going to my office, like, oh, you going to work?
Yeah.
Like my 3-year-old said that the other day. I'm like, yeah, I'm going to do some work. But I don't know. I think it's cool to, as a business owner, or even if you're not, it's cool to share like the hard work you're doing, because hopefully that instills in them like, okay, going to work. Like that's something that I'm going to do. And I do think as a business owner, I talk to them about like, we're building this, like we own this, we're building this business. This could be yours someday, right? Like, and not that everybody needs to go and own their own business, but I very much was always that way. And I'm trying to set them up to maybe want to do the same thing.
Yeah. One of the biggest motivating things for me to go out and actually like take the leap into business ownership was, I want my kids to go do hard things. I want them to go to the things they're afraid of, but they want to do, and kind of run and chase their dreams. And I'd sat there for years being like, I want to own a business. I want to be a business owner. And I'm finally like, I had my 2nd kid, 3rd on the way. I'm like, I got to just do it. I have to take the leap, because if I'm ever going to tell them, go chase your dreams, I can at least point to, Dad went and did it. Maybe it worked out, maybe it didn't, but at least he did it. And, it's something that at least is an example for them to be what they can see a bit.
Yeah, no, I love that. We just had a conversation with our daughter yesterday. She started an art class that she loves art. And, but she's so funny. She comes back from everything. It almost doesn't matter what it is, unless she got some kind of treat or candy. She's like, did you have fun? And she's like, no, didn't like it. We're like, all right, well, we're going to keep trying. The one thing, she loves tennis, so I'll take that. But like we try to put them into different things, and, never going to force them to stick with something, beyond whatever season. Like we're very much, you started it, you're going to finish it. But if they decide it's not for them, like I'm not going to push them into it. But I am going to keep pushing them to try something else then, right? We told her last night, we're like, what do you want to do? You just want to sit in your room all night? Like that's not going to happen. So, do hard things. I coach classes at Orangetheory too, right? Obviously you took my class, but I tell my people in my class, we're doing this in here, this hard thing in here, so that everything out there is a little bit easier, right? And I think that makes a lot of sense for a lot of people. But it's much further than just fitness, right?
Yeah. I can highly vouch for your classes being fun, being worth it for people to give a try to. You were the first, I think yours was the first class I ever went to with Orangetheory, so highly recommend.
Yes, come on.
And then on a similar note there, it's funny. So growing up, I was like, I quit everything. I was a kid who tried every single sport, martial arts, football, basketball, baseball. I think I tried every single thing and quit it. Yeah. And, starting a business is like, you can't quit. It's one of those things, it's kind of a forcing function. And my wife always jokes, she's like, I'm glad you've stuck with me for so long, because you quit everything. And it's like, definitely a joke. But, it's easy for me to be like, this is kind of hard to move on. But business ownership is like, you're in it. I mean, there's no easy way out. There are days that are super tough that you just have to keep pushing through, where it'd probably be easier to be like, tap out and be like, let's go get a corporate job or a safe job. But, it's definitely worth it to keep going, and it forces you to get through adversity. Yeah.
And, we were talking about it earlier, but the seasons or the daily seasons, like where it's, or even within a day, it's amazing the, emotions or just the confidence or whatever it is. I was talking to my Clean Eatz business partner about this probably 6 months ago, but we both were having the same thoughts of, 1 minute or one day you feel like, man, let's go buy this, let's open this, let's do this, and the next day you're like, I can't afford to do anything. Like, how am I going to eat today? And it's not that extreme, but like that's kind of the feeling of, man, there's a lot of stress when you have your business, your family, your future, and then all your employees, and then once you build up a loyal customer base, it's like that's part of it too. So stressful, but worth it, as you said.
How do you manage that? Because I always picture like a graph where it's like even like not even day to day, but like minute to minute, I'll be like, oh my gosh, we're crushing it. The next minute, it's like I'm crushed. How do you manage that?
Two ways, I would say. And the first, I'm a very faithful person. I believe in Jesus, and so I've not been outspoken about that until maybe the last couple of years, but that's a big one for me, because I've always been like, you know what, it's gonna work out. I honestly don't worry about too much. Like I do, and then I'm like, all right, it's gonna work out. It always does. One way or the other, eventually it's gonna work out. So that's number one. But number two is I just look at both my businesses, with the impact we've had, and whether the numbers are going right this day or week or month or year, whatever it is, or they're not. I look at the people that are coming in the door, and the fact that I've changed that person's life incredibly, and they love it, right? Whether it's, again, clean eats and they're just eating healthy and lost a bunch of weight, or just feeling better, or Orangetheory, where they used to not be able to walk a mile, and they just ran, after a year, they ran a mile in less than 10 minutes. Like, that just happened. And that's a confidence thing. It's like Orangetheory is so much more than just fitness, right? And just physical and appearance. The community and the confidence that we have built, and I say we, I don't mean, Stephanie and I mean our studio teams and members, like, it's crazy. And people get in there and just they walk out a different person after just being like, you know what, I can do hard things. I can do this. And then they start to see the change physically, and that just, again, boosts their mental capacity and confidence.
That's cool. That must be really neat to see people's like physical changes, to get to experience some of that with them. Because, we clean windows, which has its own level of satisfaction when we see stuff that's like super dirty and then it's clean. And you're like, okay, that's kind of cool. Because, I've, in my corporate job, I didn't have quite as much of that level of like before and after satisfaction. So it's interesting to see that, but it must be super different seeing it with people's like personal lives, their health, their happiness. Getting to witness some of that must be really neat.
It's awesome. And, one of my favorite things is I get people who, whether they take my class, or a lot of them truthfully don't even take my class. They're at a studio where I don't coach, or, I only coach right now 1 day a week at Mason, regularly, but, they'll shoot me a message. I just got one from one of our members, saying he just bought a bunch of new clothes, a size down from what he's worn forever. Right. Nice. And I'm like, hell yeah. Like, keep grinding. Like, throw the old clothes away. Right. We're only headed in one direction. So like that stuff, I'm not, my wife will tell you, I'm not a very emotional person. I keep it all in, but when I see some of that stuff, like it gets me, and I'm like, yes, like that's why the hard days are worth it. That's why I believe in the product. So when we get people, in both businesses, actually, that just are doing things that they never thought they could do, and they say thank you for it, I'm like, well, you did all the work. Like, you just, I just held you accountable, right? But they did all the work, and it's cool. It's rewarding. And when I jumped into this, it was a side business, a retirement thing. It was, hopefully, one day we can sell that. It'll be great. And then when I started coaching, I was like, okay, like we're making an impact. So again, our goal is try to make Cincinnati, Northern Kentucky, the tri-state area, one of the healthiest and most fit cities in the world. And we're trying to do that through Orangetheory Clean Eats, but also partnering with some other fitness companies out there.
Yeah, that's awesome.
Yeah,
that's really cool. When you think about your journey of ownership over the past kind of 10 years, what advice might you offer to anybody who's looking at getting into it, potentially making that leap?
That's funny. This maybe contradicts a little bit of what I just said there, but I think you have to find something you're going to enjoy, right? And I thought I would enjoy, but I didn't think I'd be as into Orangetheory as I was, right? I thought this will be my wife's thing, and great, I'll have a place to work out. But I've worked out since high school consistently, and it's been a passion of mine. So I think the key, what I'm getting at, is you have to find something you're passionate about and you can believe in, because that's been the easiest thing for me when I'm trying to sell somebody a membership. I used to be very like, if you want to, you can do it. But, and I'm still kind of that way sometimes, but, we teach our teams that we're selling them, what they want. Like, and this is a big want for a lot of people. If I could spend X amount of dollars to just look the way I want, feel the way I want to feel, that dollar amount would be big, right? Yeah. And we're selling that at a discount is what, when we really look at that, like, this is not that much money to get the result you actually want. Yeah. Sure, you have to bring the effort, but that's been something that I can go back to. So if you believe in the product, or you believe in the business, whatever it is, it's so much easier to then sell it and, feel good about it. Cause that's, at the end of the day, I'm passionate about it. I believe in it, and I can feel good about it. Yeah.
Do you find like working in fitness, it's easier to integrate fitness into your life, or is it like harder because you're like, I'm surrounded by it all the time, not gonna think about it for myself?
I would say it's kind of easier. It's actually a struggle for me anymore to get into the studios to work out. Back when we had 3 studios, I was in there, taking class probably 4 times a week. Very easy, but now it's just, there's so many other things. And then I know if I'm going in the studio, like I'm not just working out, right? I'm helping with something. I'm answering questions. I'm talking to the members, which I love all that, but it's not just a workout, right? So, my goal right now is twice a week to get in there. And then I have a home gym. So for me as a coach, I have to look the part, right? So it's like, it's easier in that sense. Like, it's an expectation, but again, I've been in fitness, like, personally, for 20 years. Not, how old am I? A long time now. So it's been something that's just routine and not hard.
I know. I got to get back into it. There was a time where I was like super consistent. I had a trainer when I was traveling, and he would like look up the places I was traveling to, tell me what the gyms were, tell me what to do. And it was just, everything was just like cooked up for me. And it was super, super simple. And I was super consistent, and I felt great. And I had so much energy.
It's funny you say that, because at Orangetheory, all you have to do is show up, and we'll take you through the whole thing. And guess what? There's one everywhere you go. So and I think you have a membership.
I think I do. Yeah. Okay. All right. This is motivating. Right when I get out of here, I'm going to go sign up for my next classes, and I'll see you. When are you in there next?
I'll be there Friday. Come on.
There we go. No, it's definitely motivating, and it's a good reminder. I mean, you just feel so good afterward. It must be so nice to like run a business where people walk out feeling good. They're feeling great. The endorphins are flowing. They're feeling better, excited about the day, ready to conquer things.
We have the sign up in every studio. Nothing feels better than a finished workout. And it's, you walk out of there, and that's one of the places where I can work out at 5 a.m. and it's a struggle to get up, and that's the hardest part. You get up, but once you walk in, it's like, okay, I'm still tired, but okay. Yeah. But as soon as you're done, it's like, man, it's 6 o'clock in the morning. I feel amazing. Yeah. And everybody else is still sleeping. Yeah. So, find the time, make the time, create the time. Yeah. But it's worth it to take care of yourself. And if you can't, if you're not healthy and you can't take care of yourself, you can't do anything else. Yeah. So put the time in.
I love that. Right when we wrap, I'm going to pull that app out and get signed up.
Let's go.
Mark my words.
Let's go.
As we kind of wrap up here, it's been great to hear about like how much you built, all the cool things you're doing. I think it's really inspiring for someone who's kind of at the beginning of his ownership journey to talk to someone who's been doing it for a while, and to hear, how you manage all the challenges and everything, and to know you're a family man, how you balance those things. But is there any kind of last things that you'd leave folks with, or anything you'd want to share of how you're balancing all of it, how you're doing it all?
I'll just go back again to surround yourself with good people. And everybody's heard you're a combination of the 5 people you spend the most time with, whatever that quote is. But there's people that'll drag you down, and you gotta figure out who those are and spend less time with them, and get the people who will build you up, because not everybody deep down wants to see you succeed, and those are not the people you need around you. So if you have an idea and people are saying, that's not going to work or that's not going to happen, then probably not the best person to listen to unless they've already done that exact same thing, right? Like I look at experience, but if they have no idea, if they've never done anything, then why are you listening to them, right? So I think there's a lot of naysayers out there, and you just, at the end of the day, you have to ask yourself, are you willing to, bet on yourself? And if you're willing to put the work in, something is going to come out of the other side, whether that business or that idea is successful or it leads to something else. You learn something. I think risks are worth taking, and some pay off, and some you got to pay the piper. But at the end of the day, I think I've always come out better when I take a risk.
Yeah, cool. Thanks, man, for sharing that. Sharing everything you did today. I appreciate you being here. It's been a good conversation. I get signed up right when we wrap here in just a minute. See you soon.
Let's go.
Awesome. Thanks for being here.
Absolutely. Thanks for having me.
Appreciate it.